Good afternoon. I know we have some very random live shows, so I do expect people to take some time to get into these. But I wanted to just come out here and start to talk about Vixperation a little bit because I do have some time this morning, and the girls are over at Abuela's house this morning. So I just wanted to talk about some things going on and volatility because volatility is doing some interesting things. So hope you and the family are doing well. We are doing very well. The trade good. The trade good. I like it. Adrian, hey, what's up? Good morning, guys. Spaceman, how you doing this morning? I was like, oh, I get some free time this morning. Maybe I'll wait because I'm kind of waiting for something here. I think it's a little risky for me to just go, yeah, we're gonna go long. So I think I'm gonna be patient in this area now. I took kind of everything off the table now, especially on that last pump that sold off. Just kind of sitting on my hands for a period of time here, and I'm gonna show off those reasons in a little bit, but I just wanted to talk about Vixpiration. I think that's good to have on your mind. I think keeping that on your mind is very important because today's session, tomorrow's session, then Tuesday, and we're right into Vixpiration, right? So Vixpiration is the rebalancing of those options, right? Those options are expiring. And so a lot of the time you'll see a pump before, a pump after. It's kind of what do you see right before? What do you see kind of on the day? Are we going to see volatility kick up? Just for a moment, and we've done this tons of times. If you're someone who's new to markets, learning a little bit about Vixpiration, which this is pretty much all you need to know, is it's a window for some volatility. Pretty much it goes like this. If you want a quick explanation, you see that this is why I hopped on. I was like, oh, I could pop in, maybe play a game of Arc Raiders for a moment here, but I was like, I think you guys need to see this stuff. So I wanted to pop on YouTube. I was like, oh yeah, I could pop into a live video. That's actually great. Just like we used to. But yeah, we are getting confirmations here of potential higher lows, right? We beat this. I know this isn't price. This is a reading. But the key thing with Vixpiration, if you kind of look back to key dates, let's see, this is February, so we need to go back to January. So if you look at January, look at this. This is Vixpiration. Bam, that's right on Vixpiration. We've done this multiple times, especially over the last 6 months. We've really paid attention to that Vixpiration because they're really utilizing it at these times to create those volatility spikes. So the big thing here is we have reversal signals before Vixpiration, and that's why we are kind of saying, we don't know the future, but we are paying attention to before Vixpiration because that's when we have the reversal signal. So that's kind of how I treat it. It's like, does VIX show reversal signals 3 to 4 days before Vixpiration? Does Vixpiration show signals the day of or maybe the day after, those like that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Do we have that? Because you do have OPEX usually on the same Friday, not every single time, but you will have that most of the time. And so the reason we're paying attention to this right now is because it says, hey, this technically has 2-hour divergence here. It has 2-hour divergences down there. This could be a big pump in volatility. So I just want to manage that because I was long, right? I was kind of targeting up towards 710, up towards 720. Those options became valuable at this point. So I overall put my thesis out on Patreon last week of what my mentality was. That mentality has shifted now, thinking about Vixpiration, taking everything off the table. I'm not going to buy volatility calls. I think that they are completely overpriced right now, in my opinion. That's just my personal opinion, so I'm not comfortable taking a play with that. If we do see major volatility come in, just know that when everyone thinks the absolute floor is falling out, you will still get pullbacks from volatility. You will get opportunities to short the market if we go into something very volatile. But the more probable thing here is you're just going to see a pump with that Vixpiration. And then we're going to see this kind of pump up for a moment and then roll down as of right now. That would be, in my experience, this is an experience talk as of right now. We do have reversal signals. Those can continue to the upside. You always treat them like they can continue to the upside, especially with volatility and the SPY if they're showing similar things. We don't see the similar thing from the SPY, okay? We do not see the similar thing from the SPY. So you may have seen me just put out a cheeky little tweet. I don't tweet terribly often, but for some reason I gain some followers every once in a while over there. If you want to, it's very random, guys. I am not someone who's trying to be someone big on X or whatever. But I just put, man, I would love to see a SPY 680 dump. I would love to see it because I think that if you pay attention to these things right, they could give you a scare with that Vixperation. If we're able to handle that, well, then the SPY can come down into this area. And if it would curl up right here, just kind of imagine for a second and say to yourself, if I saw this price action in a few days, if I saw this turn down into here pretty dramatically, but be able to carve out and turn to the upside, what would that overall look like? What would that be? That would be the 2-hour higher low. So I really like that. I think 680 would be very dramatic and scare people very much so. And there's no guarantee that that's going to turn around. You have to do your homework down in here, but I think this is very probable with how volatility is shaping up. This could all be wrong. This could all be ruined in a matter of minutes today, right? All we have to do is start to extend. All we have to do is extend this by some means, right? We have to see some kind of squeeze here, and all of that's ruined. But the way that volatility is shaping up with the signals, it really looks like that. And I think the reason paying attention to the higher low, if we do see that Vixperation volatility come in, can really be explained by the IWM. I think IWM, we see that move to the upside here. That's fine. There's sellers right here. There's sellers right here. So even though this is crossing up, yeah, I don't necessarily want to short. We've just seen a big move. It's going to be easier to probably play those upward moves. Right now, you're getting that confirmation kind of close to the center line. But does this look like strength still? I still don't think that that looks like strength to me. I don't like the setup as of right now for more upside for IWM. It can happen. I'm just not willing to risk money behind it, is the way I like to say it. We can sit, we can sit, we can sit, and then we can wait for some kind of reason for volatility, right? We have to have a reason. The market, or at least the news, let's say it this way, the news and everything else, a lot of people want these things explained when the truth is it's just money and momentum that moves stocks. Right? If you really think about it, it's money, it's the options market. The options market is the most important it has ever been. You'll probably notice that in individual stocks, they are starting to open up even more options opportunities for those stocks. This is to keep the game going. This is to keep the game going. This is why I'm very critical of everything that politicians do that, seems like a good thing, but it's not. A good example of this, I know this is a random tangent, but my mother came and she was like, "Oh, you get money for your kids now. They get money that goes into the S&P 500. What is that overall doing? That is supplementing the problem. The child who gets $2,000 in the S&P 500 right now, it's not. I know it can benefit the child. They say like, oh, by the time they're 68, it'll be worth $1 million or something like that. If you take history into consideration. But the big thing is, what would the S&P 500 with the 90% that own 10, or the top 10% that own 90% of the stock market, how much money would they make by getting that supplementation of, the kids getting $2,000? The truth is, they're saying, here's a cookie for, your kid, but the people who own most of the stock market are going, oh yeah, but we're getting everything, So is this really a benefit for you? That's why I'm critical of those things. I know that's a random tangent, but it is just a conversation I had, so I wanted to talk about it. Being aware of these things, just understanding how the world works and who it works for is very important with stocks. And who it works for, they're always going to have an explanation for every single move. After the move happens, they're going to look for a reason. And I think that reason could be even, I think we just got the existing home sales, but tomorrow we get core inflation rate month over month, core inflation rate year over year. We get all the inflation data tomorrow. We get CPI. That is most likely going to be a reason for whatever move that you see next. If that reason wasn't there, the move would most likely happen anyway, but they would find a different explanation. So if we weren't getting that data tomorrow, you most likely would see a different reason, but the same move that was going to always happen, even though you can't read into the future. So the reason that IWM is great to watch here, though, is because it is so positive that everyone that's saying that IWM is going to crash, momentum would have to completely go away. You will have to see a crazy thing from the core inflation rate to beat out this low and go make a new one for IWM. It is much more probable that we get a simple A, B, C, maybe one more to get us down, closer to that Vixperation, and then we head to the upside. That is the most probable thing for IWM. So is IWM going to curl up and say that the most probable thing is pull back on the 2-hour? I'm not entering a position when it's curled down, obviously, but is that saying that the SPY and the Qs are going to completely go in the opposite direction in a dramatic fashion while this turns around? I don't see that happening. I don't think that's really what happens with markets. So just explaining some of those things real quick, I think is a good thing. Trying to look at things that government does, things that anyone that controls money, the Fed does, from the lens of who are they trying to benefit the most. They're trying to benefit the rich people the most every time, every single time. Any benefit that is for the lesser people is a bigger benefit for the richer people. That's how you have to look at the world, unfortunately. So I just wanted to bring that into consideration. Insiders have been selling nonstop over the last 2 weeks. Be careful with IWM rotation. Can be hiding the risk. Well, one thing that you can say over the last, I think it's 3 months, is insider selling has been elevated apparently for the last 3 months. That being said, you see times where insider selling is elevated for long periods of time and nothing happens. A lot of insider selling can be rebalancing for earnings going into 2026. It could be grabbing bonuses going into 2026. You could see sell-offs, complete sell-offs in certain stocks just so they can take profit, so they can bump up those numbers, so they can say, look how good I did, give me my $250,000 bonus or whatever it is. So I just, you have like insider selling. Is it one of your, like, here's the way to put it. Insider selling for me, I'll talk about myself. I think that's the better way to put it. And also in the near term, right? If you can take care of this, you're done, right? All of this goes out the window and you look for the Vixperation trap most likely. So we'll see if we can bounce off of here. But the big thing is, does insider selling give me the information I need to take a trade? And I think that's a big, big thing. Yeah, we're live again today, Dimitri. I had some time today. I was like, I was going to treat myself and play a little video game or something. And then I was like, no. I got to get on and talk about these things because I think a 680 dip would be so nice. Well, sorry, I kind of blipped on what I was talking about. But yeah, overall, that was it. Overall, does insider selling, is that one of my things to pay attention to? Is that one of my rules? Is that one of my reasons? I call them reasons. I know a lot of people when they email me, they say rules. Is that in my rules? Is that in this? Not necessarily, right? They can keep this game going as long. Insider selling can be like this. This is how a chart with insider selling can look. It literally can look like that, look like this, look like that, look like this, look like that, and then it starts to do what we're doing now, and then we'll start to get into that chop. But insider selling does not give me a lot of edge. It really doesn't. What gives me an edge is mostly the signals as my trading comes into consideration. I think as far as investing goes, you could maybe pay attention to those things. But really with investing, I'm just watching my little target. I like target. Fuck the insiders, Jomo. Love your Patreon. Hey, thank you, Dimitri. Yeah, I see you in there all the time. I see you guys in there. It's just so hard to respond to so many people. So that's where the live show really helped with that. I'm bummed we had to take that away, but Mama Bear's doing much better. She safely got through that pregnancy. We were kind of freaked out for a little bit. She was very sick, like very sick, very much so in pain, was bedridden for a few weeks there. So that's mainly when the live video stopped, and I just wanted to make sure family's all taken care of. But I tried to put out as much info as possible to YouTube through the form of videos, and now that we are cleared up, whenever I have free time, I'm going to try my best to hop on these live videos. So make sure you have those notifications on, guys. Would you buy a call for a month? So personally, I had calls out for a month just on this move right here. Once this started to fail, I just went, hey, that could be potential divergence points. That could be, a lot of things. So I just want to stay risk averse. I think that patience is good. I had a good trade. The point here is to kind of sit and be like, hey, let's wait for the next easy trade where everyone freaks out, but we treat it very calmly. I think that's what I'm doing in my mental right now is doing that. I'm looking for, hey, can this confirm to the upside? If this confirms to the upside, there is risk of doing what? We still have the Vixperation window. If you do this and then you fail, what are you going to have right here? You're going to have 30-minute divergence. So I just don't think that this 30-minute push is my best friend. I think I would rather do this. Here's the 2 trades that I would rather take. And I'm going to show you this from personally my mentality of like what I have really convinced myself to be patient for over the next, say, week or so. I would rather see this explode to the upside, pull back on a 2-hour chart with Vixperation or something like that, and then take this play right here. I would rather see that Vixperation dump and then take this trade right here. These are the 2 that I would really, really like to take. Okay? These are the 2 trades that I would really like to see. And Vixperation is saying which one is more probable right now. It can be wrong. Vixperation doesn't, or I'm sorry, Vixperation, the VIX itself. The VIX signals right now are suggesting which one of these 2 is very, very probable. It's actually saying this one is very probable right now. That could be done by the end of the day. We could completely get different signals by tomorrow, right? So I've really mentally shaped this up to, this was solid. This was great. I happened to do my homework and get into that move and benefited from it because of IWM. I used IWM's confirmations as confirmations for a trade in the SPY, weirdly enough. And after that, I have to go, okay, if this is going to extend, that would be nice. But we spent too much time in here to where volatility shows me a warning flag, like something like this could happen. So I think this one is the most probable for right now. We'll see if signals change over the next trading session or so. But I'm not going to risk money while I'm waiting for something to form. Does that make sense? We can look at Netflix and things like that. I used to have Netflix on my side here. I wonder if I have it. Yeah, I have it right here. Netflix dumping off. So this is unfortunate actually for Netflix on the 2-hour chart. Very unfortunate. You're gonna spend more time down here. You're gonna spend more time down here. Yeah, you're as far as what would you say, like investing goes. Let's look at investing first. Even that weekly just dumping off. Divergence on the RSI triple. Nothing on the MACD. So you did get that hyperbolic move. So if you look at the weekly, what's very likely here is you're going into a downtrend. Look at this going negative. When you see major downside, you go negative. Once that goes negative on a weekly, you have to be very cautious. Look, it won't even make right shoulders that could have been over here. What I would say here, and you had only a daily double bottom that bottomed you out down here. So very interesting. What you're kind of saying here is if I'm still in a position as far as investing goes for Netflix, and maybe I didn't sell the exact top, or I didn't pay attention to the fact that on the daily you came down to here and you rolled, right? The daily rolled. Daily rolls are very, very important to be cautious of, but you were able to take out this level right here. This is the critical level to take out for the weekly to continue more downside. So this means more downside is very probable. So if I was holding on to something, like maybe I had an investment, maybe I invested when this went positive very clearly and then curled up into positive territory, and I said, okay, this is going to be months worth of positivity, boom, to the upside. Maybe I ride this. I'm able to hold through volatility, daily divergence, maybe right here. I can hold through here. And then I see that daily roll. That's normally when I would say I'm out. But if I wasn't out at this point, I would be like, okay, is it good for me to sell the low here? Or is it better for me to maybe see another daily roll or something like that? I think a daily roll or a weekly roll here, you would try to say, okay, getting out at this point would most likely be the right move, but it's not the right move for everyone. People like to hold on to stocks for a long time, but this one doesn't have dividends. That's why I'm suggesting that. So my mentality looking at this is, here's the previous low, here's the new high. Did we take that out? Yes. So if I get a counter move here and it fails over here, I have to start to manage my risk in any kind of investment that I do have for Netflix. And I can look at other things. Yeah, we look at Mags too. Mags is right here. Daily scale though, daily is looking like the bounce is coming, but we just ruined that with today's move. I'm just going to say that. Daily was saying, okay, we're going to have that divergence on the MACD. We maybe need to make it on the RSI. So we're trying to make that right there. I'm sorry, it's hard to see because this thing keeps popping up. Let's just blow it up. You're trying to make these little divergences in here. The way better way that this could have made an actual reversal was come down with this spike, get an actual bounce, then roll to these lower levels. That would have been better because that would have put on your MACD and RSI at the same time. What does that mean? What am I saying about Netflix? You really don't have good signals that this is turning around. You have them, but are they good? Is it like, I'm going to start a position here? If you're saying, as far as investing goes too, a lot of the time you just do this. You go, okay, from the top, how much have we sold off? Oh, 42%. And then you can do your homework, why you like the stock. Do you use Netflix? Is Netflix, you can look at the users for Netflix and see if those are growing over time or are they going away. Me personally, this is where it's very important. Me personally, we're different people. I personally will not invest in Netflix because of my own behavior. I only buy Netflix for maybe 2 months out of the year. My wife is very, very good at making sure, subscriptions. If you don't pay attention to your subscriptions, you can lose a lot of money every single year just by holding on to subscriptions that you're not really using. So we started tackling that about a year and a half ago. We just said, if we're not actively watching something on Netflix that we want to see, then why do we have it? It's been very, very good because we're trying to build accounts for our daughter and things like that now. So it's really, really helped with little things like that. But me personally, I look at how I use things. Like I bought Target investment. Why did I buy Target? Not only because of the signals were great, right? But also we go to Target actively. I can go to Target and see all those white girls getting their, their little lattes before they go, shop for so sometimes some very worthless things in my opinion, but they do go shop there a lot. The parking lot's always full. People are always spending money there and everyone hated it and it was down 68% or something like that. And I was like, oh, and it has reversal signals. I like Target, right? So, and I'm not hating on you white girls out there. I like myself I never get Starbucks. I think it's very overpriced, but and by never I mean I only get it when my wife really, really wants it. But actually, you have an example of a better. Sorry, my buddy's calling me. You have an example of a better daily divergence right here. Do you see how when I was talking about this happening, that's what you want to see? You see it right here. You see the divergence here on the MACD, on the RSI at the same time. That's a very good hint that we're about to see a squeeze. And you don't have to come back and test those levels every time. So I see a lot of people talk to me about divergence and think that I haven't done this for a very freaking long time. A lot of people will say, I had someone ask AI and they tried to teach me my own technical analysis using AI. And I was just like, okay. Divergence is very important because it will show you major shifts, especially on daily charts. So you're not always going to get that dip to get back in on daily charts, right? To really get that retest. You're not going to get that every time. You can get it a lot of the time. I would say it's probably 50-50. But a big reason divergence is important is because you don't have to revisit these levels ever again if you have enough liquidity down here with a daily divergence. So the daily divergence breaks you through. And what the person was suggesting to me that AI told them was you always wait for this dip before you go in. And you notice in this scenario right here, the one, my boy just keeps calling me. Let me make sure there's no problem going on. Let me finish this point after I answer. Hey, but give me 1 second. Stay on the phone. Give me 1 second. I gotta say something to my live show for a moment. Hold on 1 sec. Yeah, so the big thing here is you don't have to revisit those levels. So AI was telling them always wait for this. that's not going to happen. It's probably going to happen 50% of the time. That's why divergence is very important. It will look riskier. You have to risk manage and things like that, especially position size, but you want to make sure to be just doing your job. And that's where divergence is. If you use them over time, you can trust them more and more. Let me talk to my buddy for just a split second here, guys, and then we'll go check on mags and other things that you guys want to look at. I'll put us on the mags chart. Netflix, though, it looks like a little bit more time is going to be very necessary here for the chart to be able to turn around on the weekly, and the weekly is in kind of that downtrend. Okay, mags looks interesting, so we'll look at that in just a moment. Give me a second. Sorry about that, guys. My buddy knows that I work from home and help with the girls and things like that, but he's like, I don't have work today, so he might hop on. We might play a little games or something during nap time. Uh, Thank you for saying you love the videos, Jomo. I always see all the comments and things like that. I just never get around to messaging people back. It's too many people for me to handle. Mag's very interesting here, right? Why is it interesting? Look at the weekly chart. Is this weekly chart screaming downside? Not necessarily, right? Now we are consolidating in some kind of, you never know when you're kind of like this. You never really, you would always lean towards consolidation with mags with something that's overall positive for a lot of the time. We'll look at SoFi and things like that. If you guys want to look at some charts, I've got another hour, maybe a little less than an hour. Yeah, treating both sides. Here's the thing: if someone's telling you that something has to happen, that's immediately a red flag. Has to happen is a very bad thing for someone to say, and most likely that person has been beat up by a lot of trades. I'm not going to say they're not successful. People can be successful and still get beat up by trades, but saying something has to happen can get you in a lot of trouble, especially doing options and things like that. Okay. So mags itself, though, if we just look at the weekly chart, what's happened? We had a dump. We curled up. Do we see any reversal signals here? Let's look back even further, right? Right here. What did you have here? Not flat, actually violated on the MACD, but you see it on the RSI right here very plainly. You have that dramatic divergence. You do have two waves from your MACD. That's when I really pay attention to those divergences. You have little divergences in here. You can convince yourself those are on the weekly. I would more so just say, if you're not seeing that actual curve of the MACD, then treat it like it's only on the RSI, or it's like a daily divergence, right? So this means you were going daily, most likely had divergences here. You can see that from your RSI right here on the weekly chart. And that means we're going to go through what? Well, based on the fact that we have curled up and violated these divergences now, you are saying what? We are most likely going to continue, right? This market can be irrational for longer than you can stay solvent. That's why you want to shorting the damn thing, right? That's why you want to be very careful looking at things like insider trading. It can convince you of something that's maybe not even part of your rules, your reasons, right? So overall, if this curled up, would it be bullish? Could we see another extension completely like this if it curled up? Say, like, take it from the high, maybe just take it from where we're at right now. Could we see that? Yeah, we saw it. We just saw it over here, right? We saw it right here when the weekly curled down right here. We saw an extension. So could that happen? Yes. And I want to treat this like it can do something irrational. So if I see anything that tells me that this can curl up. This is why I use multiple time frames. This is why I go into daily charts and say, if I see daily divergence, then this can be a good thing. Now, I have rules of my own. I have reasons for the trade that I discuss all the time. Some of those reasons are MACD, RSI divergences, right? What do we see right here? We see that plain divergence, right? We see a double bottom. I know it's a lower low, but with the closures of the bar, you would say double bottom. You do not see that on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So this isn't a signal that has every reason, but it has a reason that has not confirmed on the RSI, or even MACD hasn't confirmed up yet. But are you dramatically far away from the center line? No. Well, you would be more so if you're going to go into some kind of like, say, people say bear market or more volatility for a bit, you probably would have seen this, then a big reaction, a big roll, and then you would do something like this, right? You would kind of see that 5 waves down. The fact that we haven't seen that, you can see it at any point. The MACD is turned down right now. The RSI hasn't crossed back up or anything like that, but you do have forms of divergence. So then I can go and say, well, if I want to see if this divergence is going to confirm, then maybe I want to look at my 2-hour chart. What do I see from the 2-hour chart? So I don't see divergence or anything like that. I see the big wave up, the fake out. This is how price action doesn't have to work out every time, right? Nothing in the market is 100%. Be very careful of people saying this has to happen, because I would think that people who do price action would say we beat out this level. That's fantastic. We're going to dip down, right? We discussed the IWM. Are we unaware that the IWM can break through that low? Look at the positioning of the MACD. It's very similar to how IWM is right now. And a very similar move to IWM right here, too. Doesn't mean it has to behave the same, by the way, but I'm just using it as an example. Price action failed the move here. That's a big deal. We went into earnings, and probably that's why it failed. But we did fail that move. We made the new low, and we didn't really create the best divergence point because we went so positive here that you most likely will need to create one in the near price action. So this means a very probable thing for MAGs is you're going to carve this out as a 2-hour lower high. And right here, I don't want to be bullish. I want to be very fearful of this move. People might even short a move here, right? But this is why we say trade like water, is because if I'm going to short a 2-hour roll, that makes total sense. I'm never going to disagree with you. Be Hardy, welcome, welcome. I'm not going to disagree with you on a 2-hour roll. That makes sense. But I know the market most of the time goes up, so I'm very cautious shorting things a lot of the time. That's why I just buy volatility sometimes. It's usually pretty cheap. But if this would do this instead, it rolls, it comes down to a lower point. Maybe we go to a daily expected move tomorrow, or maybe we go to a daily expected move on like Tuesday, right? And then we curl back around. You have the 2-hour divergence. That then would give you the hint and say, hey, that's likely to curl up the daily MACD. We don't have daily divergence on the MACD, but we would on the RSI at that point. So adding all those things together would say, okay, I probably have at least 3 reasons here. Maybe I don't want to, since it is a low divergence play and we are getting a 2-hour roll, if that 2-hour confirms, maybe I don't want to be overzealous with it. But this would be a very simple setup to say, hey, I could potentially, if I see a 2-hour divergence right here, I can take a month out call, and then I can play some kind of 2-hour move. So if I see this 2-hour divergence shape up here, maybe I look for the weekly expected move for MAGs, like somewhere up in here, if that's able to confirm, and I play this and I say, all right, I'm off the table, we're going to get a pullback. So that's how I read into things, very much so with MAGs. I hope that that's overall helpful for looking at MAGs right now. It looks bad. This is not bullish by any means yet. And you're waiting for the chart to make an argument, to make a bullish contrarian signal. A bullish contrarian signal would have been a higher low. A bullish contrarian signal would have been the divergence is the major contrarian signal, actually, though. Because a 2-hour higher low puts you into a positive trend, but the divergence would be your kind of contrarian bullish signal, which means contrarian means opposite of what's happening can take place, kind of. It's a signal that says, hey, the downside could stop, the trend could change. Get 608 today. As far as the Qs, and then I'll go look at SoFi. I just remembered. As far as the Qs, 608, yes, very probable. 606, 72 is your daily move here. Same thing here, right? This is great, actually. Mags, Qs, we're going into very similar things. This is great. The Qs were suggesting we are weak, very weak after those earnings. The Qs is suggesting what? Uh-oh, we're starting to do some crazy things on the RSI. Does this mean it has to go all the way down? No, but it's very highly probable that once you see this MACD confirm as well, which this should be a warning sign right now, right? To be cautious and look for a whip around or something like that before that MACD crosses. If you don't get that, then this is all going to cross down, and we're very likely to do what? Test this low, go make a new one, and I would be paying attention to like a Wednesday daily expected move, a Tuesday probably daily expected move. See if you can come down to these type of areas. And during this time, is that bullish? No, that's a 2-hour roll, right? That is a lower high. You can see a full move like this. If you get a full move like this, you ain't making divergence, right? You're not making divergence if you get a full move like that. That's very, very likely, but it would take you where? It'd take you down to that monthly move. So this right here is not bullish. You're looking for possibly a test of the low and go make a new one if that confirms on your MACD. And then if you see the 2-hour divergence show up, meaning show up means this. It starts to form, and then you see it confirm back to the upside. You actually see this, right? This crosses through. You see kind of that cross like that. That's where you're really looking for, uh-oh, everyone is bearish. I know Vixperation is there, and this could just be a rebalancing, and the signals are suggesting that this is a trap. Those can fail. That's why we always consider position sizing. That's why you consider risk management. That's why you have a plan for the trade and a plan for if the trade goes wrong. But if a 2-hour divergence confirms right here, what is it saying for the Qs, right? And we're just talking into the future a little bit. It's saying the daily can cross up. Is the daily very far away from the center line? No. It's in the same area it was just a little bit ago. Does the daily have major reversal signals that suggest we should watch for a stock market crash? No. A crash can happen, right? We'll always treat it like it can happen, but you violated this point right here. So that is suggesting that this could just be a dump off early month, dump off for the month of February before this is able to curl up. I was suggesting to a lot of people that, a sell in May and go away might be taking place soon for a bit of time for the next bigger pullback. That means that we could trend up into that, but we have to see 2-hour reversal signals from the Qs, especially because they are in the risky spot. So yeah, this is a great example again. 2 hours crossing down right now. Your daily expected moves here, so you could sit here all day if you want. Let those market makers make whatever, and then on Friday you actually get the move. You sit down here, you make 30-minute divergence going into like Wednesday or something like that. And then you see what happens. But yeah, so pretty much you could see this. Bam, bam, bam. Back to the upside. Boom. Take care of expiration. Then right over here would be the confirmation. So this is where you tie together all of your skills on every single time frame. So if you see a 30-minute divergence or a 30-minute higher low here, if you really want the best position, it's what I do. I really do my homework on 30-minute charts to get into the best position. This is when people make those crazy bearish bets. This is when calls get really, really cheap. And if you're paying attention to something that confirms while all the people pay attention to their narrative, their hope for the market instead of what's actually happening, you can make money. Sad part is you're going to take it from other people, but by taking it from them, hopefully you teach them a lesson, and hopefully they pay attention to what's actually happening and not what the news is telling you it's going to happen. We'll see what happens with CPI, though. Data, it can always, I think it, obviously whatever move is going to be shown to us with CPI. Let's go look at SoFi then. I haven't checked on SoFi in a minute, but you're looking for similar things. So let's check daily chart. Very, very deep here. So is this completely turning around? Probably not. Very much so, probably not going to do that. So we take out this low. We were always paying attention to 24.75 for reactions, but you notice lower high takes you negative, lower takes you negative again. We confirm down. That's just bad. You break the seal. You break that seal, but if you make a 2-hour divergence here, you can get a counter move. That counter move, as far as price action analysis goes, I like weekly moves. I like things like that for counter moves and things. A lot of the time during volatile markets, which SoFi is in a pretty volatile market, I would say, based on the selling. A lot of the time, you will hit those weekly moves or exceed them in some way. They're great little targets. I do play things that are risky like this, like SoFi, but I probably won't do it this time. I'm really being patient for the SPY and looking at volatility, seeing if I could maybe short volatility after Vixperation is an idea of mine. But you would look at this area right here, I believe. This 230 or sorry, 2380 level, like right in here. You would look for this 2-hour divergence pops up. If that 2-hour divergence does pop up, that's still risky. You can keep dropping, obviously. Then you come up to these type of levels. Then you actually fail that, and you create possibly higher low in divergence. So in order for SoFi to turn around on the weekly chart, which, let's do the full analysis here. Weekly chart, I don't see too many reversal signals. Now, you don't always have to see them, but if you're looking for an opportunity, it's coming into a great level. If I see a daily divergence right in here, then that'll give me a hint that the weekly's turning up. If I see a daily high or low in here, that'll give me a hint that the weekly's turning up, and I could be in this and maybe ride this thing for another what? Another extension, right? Another extension like this. Let's actually like take this from the, well, we're taking it kind of from the center. We'll take it from this level right here where it'd most likely confirm. You could probably take a ride to 40. So the big deal here is you don't have those weekly reversal signals. You really don't. You have daily signals, daily reversal signals, which is causing a weekly drop. But overall, if this curls up, is it going to test the high, go make a new one? That's the most probable thing. So I want to see what? I want to see some daily hints here. Do I have any daily hints from my MACD, from my RSI? No, I do not. I have nothing going on down here that's like a contrarian signal, like a divergence. I don't have anything down here that's saying the stock is coming back with a higher low. And I don't see that in price. So this means you probably have a lot of time to spend down here, maybe a whole nother like 3 weeks, I would say, in this area, maybe more. But over the next 3 weeks, I would be looking for those things. What's happening in the market right now is we're going into Vixperation. I think we're going to see a Vixperation before Vixperation volatility pump. That's what I think. Notice the words. Words are important, guys. I think. Important if you're watching even people like me. If you're watching anyone that talks about stocks, listen to what the words they actually say. If I say I think, am I going to risk money to feed my family behind an I think? No. I'm not going to do that. I like to look at VIX, VVIX, VIX 9-day, and recently I've been looking at VIX futures a little bit more. There's actually ones I don't use, which is totally cool. It's probably part of why I like watching you. Hey, that's fine. You know, and you can always use it as, I always just treat it like this. Once you have the skills, you come back here and it's just like I'm your buddy we bounce information off of. Oh, there's so many. Yeah, and that's where it's DJG. It's good to try to understand yourself. Actually, what's the book we always give out? We always say it's The Psychology of Money is a great book to read. Okay, Psychology of Money is going to be a great book to read if you're someone who says those things, right? Who says, oh, there's a million strategies. Which one's the right one for me? Start to think. You have to understand how you view money. Because me and you, we could view even a $5 bill on the side of the street. Me and you could look at that $5 bill and do completely different things. Back in the day, if I got a $5 bill on the street in college, I might go get a $5 footlong. Now, if I get a $5 bill, would I do that? I'd probably just be like, oh, sick, $5. I'm gonna keep that for after the gym one day if I want to, splurge on something or some drink or something like that. So we could just be different people. Someone else could see $5 on the street and go, $5. That's a free $5. I'm putting that in my savings account. If you find $5 on the street plenty of times, you might be able to stack up that savings account. Support levels for the Qs right now, 606.72 for the Qs. The other one you really want to pay attention to for tomorrow, we're going to give out daily expected moves for all the stocks. We do cover a lot of the ones we've talked about today on the right side of your screen there. We will be giving it out on Patreon, but we will have a YouTube update today for the SPY QQQs, and I will try to remember to go over IWM. I try to say that out loud so that I remember, because some people really liked going over IWM. $5 Starbucks? I don't think you can you get something for $5 at Starbucks? I don't know. I don't go to Starbucks. I used to with my old job back when I was like 20, 23. Gosh, that was like 10 years ago. I'm old. I'm an old man. I'm just a nerdy little gamer boy. That's all I am now. I don't party or anything anymore. Which is great. You want to save money, stop going to the bar. Dude, I saved once I stopped drinking, I saved like two. I was bad, guys. I was bad. Kids are the best thing that happened to me. Save like $200 a week. That's how much I was spending. But yeah, who said that? DG, who is it? DJG. Look up on, I can get you the link maybe, or just look it up. It should be on Amazon. It's usually like $10. Psychology of Money. It's a very, very good read. It starts to get you thinking of like, hey, how do I view money? Am I good at making money quickly? When I make money quickly, am I good at saving it? When I make money quickly, do I make smart decisions with it? Or when I make money quickly, do I make bad decisions? Am I a greedy person? This. It will really help you out. Based on volatility, I think upside plays, as far as your question, I can't tell you exactly what to do or anything like that. I'm not a financial advisor. I just am a guy who's traded for a long time. But I can tell you that volatility, the way that it's shaping up, is saying we're going to get that volatility pump before Vixperation. And this is a signal that says major volatility can come in. My thesis here, if you want to call it that, I guess, my plan here does not include a stock market crash right now. Can I be wrong about that? Yes. What I'm saying is I'm not willing to risk money behind some kind of stock market crash play. That's not what I see in the charts personally, but I could see how someone could have an argument for that. But I would hope that that person, has their plan for if they're wrong, just like I would if I was taking the play. So it's going to be very difficult to say that calls are a great idea here for even myself. If this is turning up like that, and if the Qs are in a negative trend and you're about to, in about 35 minutes, confirm this RSI, which means the lagging indicator, the MACD, can follow, it's going to be risky. The big thing here is the 30 minutes rejecting the move, right? The 30 minutes cross down. We talked about this in last night's video. If that 30 minute crosses down, where is it? It's by the center line. This is a lower high for the 30 minute. This means you are very likely to see what? 1, 2, 3. And it doesn't have to be that quick. You can literally go like, right? Vixperation. And then we'll look for 30-minute divergence here. If we don't see that confirmed down there, it's going to be risky. If we see an absolute sell-off tomorrow with the CPI and it blows out divergence chances here, yeah, this market's going into a downtrend completely. And we'll have to look for the downside plays. But yeah, volatility has too much of an argument for the 2-hour and daily pop for me to say, oh, I just sold all my calls like yesterday, pretty much. So am I going to be like, yeah, it's a great idea now? No, I told the 2 trade setups that I am looking for, and I'll say them again since you did ask, and it's a little bit later in the video now. I'm looking for this, and I take this play over here. I'm looking for this, and I take this play over here. Those are the 2 plays I'm looking for right now. And volatility is suggesting that this one is more probable. Oh, nice, Shauna. Yeah, I really like that book. The biggest point that I think that book can drive home and Young Santos, thank you so much for subscribing. The big thing there with that book is the big topic, and maybe Jonna, maybe you like this part, is the figure out when enough is enough. The most dangerous thing to be as a person, in my opinion, in this world that we do live in, is be someone where enough is never enough, right? What does enough is never enough mean? Why am I talking about that book and why am I talking about that topic in the book? Is because if this right here goes like this and I say, I'm going to hold on to it, it goes like this and I say, I'm going to hold on to it because it's positive and it's going to make more money. And I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to hold on to it. It's losing money. It's losing money. It's losing money. When is enough is enough? So enough for me is the weekly moves. That's what really solidified that for me years ago was weekly moves. Like weekly moves give you an enough is enough level. Monthly moves give you an enough is enough level, right? So if we were to do this next week, let's say the weekly expected move shifts down to here. Let's just say it shifts down to right there. And you say, I'm going to short the market because this is a 2-hour roll. You know, maybe you're doing the Qs or something like that. Maybe that's your play. It's not mine right now. And you say, I'm going to short this roll. And you go like this and you go, bam, and you go down to the weekly expected move. Is enough for you at that point? Because once enough isn't enough for you and you have a reason for enough to be enough, and you're saying this is going to keep going, this line is literally telling you the percentages start to go against you. So do you see how if I think that this can keep going, if enough is not enough for me, then this move right here could completely wipe out all of my gains from the trade, right? It's a very good topic. I'm glad people are here to hear it. I know it's maybe not the most spicy, it's not the most fun, but understanding yourself and your trade thesis, you don't have to go off of mine all the time. The point of this is to share my opinion to help people start to do this process of learning, hey, can I handle trading options? Do I maybe just want to trade shares? Can I handle trading? Or should I just look for weekly charts, daily charts, and invest my money? What kind of stocks do I like to invest in? Me, I like to invest in stocks that I understand. That's why I stick to tech stocks. That's why I stick to a lot of like Target is a good one for investment. I like for investments, I like to be able to check in. How many candles after that is too many to wait? Yeah, so I like to do that, but we can be completely different. 685 today. What's support? Support for the SPY today is 686.31 for your 68% zone. I never will give you levels that I mean, I will talk about certain levels that I think are important, but the most, if you're ever viewing my videos, you should always be considering the daily, weekly, and monthly moves first. Those have those have calculations, those have options behind it to back the data. Those can get it wrong, but that's going to be right more times than I will ever be right. Just guessing, right? But based on even all my technical analysis, if I take all of these off the board here, I would get it wrong so many more times than that. That's a much easier thing. And it creates a lot less mental stress. You're not sitting there going, where's support? Where's support? Oh, this person said support's here. This person said support's here. This day trader on the minute chart said support's here. No, you can just be like, oh, okay, what does the options market say is support? Yeah. So DJG, I would highly suggest reading that book. I would really start to think about topics like that for yourself, right? I think that helps a lot of people out. Now, as far as a trade, when you miss it, okay, if I miss it, what can I do, right? So let's say divergence on the, say, 2-hour chart, okay? And the 2-hour goes like this, and I miss it. It confirmed here, there's been like 2 or 3 bars, right? I want to look for the next shorter time frame consolidation or pullback. So this is the 2 hour. Say this is a two hour play right here. Let me put a better 2 right there. And so what I can do is I missed the confirmation. And let's say I missed it by a long shot to where price is all the way up here now. What can I do is I can look at the 30-minute chart, see if that is like going into that positive trend, right? And see if I can get some kind of pullback. So around here, if that's curling up and going up here, I can look for that 30-minute to back off like this, and then get in. So I would lower the time frame and look for a pullback on that time frame. You're not guaranteed to get it. Sometimes you miss it, you miss it. That's fine. The stock market will keep moving, all right? Then maybe it's just God telling you, hey, this wasn't the play for you. This one wasn't for you. Even if you were going to be right, maybe it's God saying, hey, you were going to be greedy here. You were going to make a mistake. Say thank you for missing it, right? That's something I think a lot of people, that's really helped me with my trading is if I miss something, I say thank you. My car, it was freezing out the other day. The car started every single day. Every single day it was starting. The one day that I was like, I'm going to go to the gym, it didn't start. It didn't start. And I go, that's weird. The one day I want to go to the gym, I was pissed. I was like, I finally get time to go to the gym. It didn't start. I could sit there and I could be pissed and pissed and pissed. Or I can come inside and hear my wife say, well, Luke, maybe it's God saying, hey, I want to make sure you don't get in that car accident today. You don't know. You don't know. So just be thankful for everything that happens. And taking that into trading is a great thing. Right? So if I missed this play, then it wasn't the right play for me. If I miss this play and then earnings comes out and it dumps down to here, wouldn't I be going, whew, thank you? You know? It's not to say that you can't go through times of pain. Pain is fine. Pain is inevitable. You will go through it. It's going to happen. You're going to make mistakes. I've made plenty. Don't make me talk about Zillow again with you guys, okay? My Zillow play still eats at me all the time. Sometimes I just go look at the chart and I spit on my screen. No, no, you'll get times that frustrate you. But missing out on things is never something that you should be frustrated about. Missing out on something should never be something you're frustrated about. It just shouldn't, because it didn't happen. It's not reality. Reality is you did not get it. You missed it. Move on. You can't change it, right? But if I was looking for, like, say, this 2 hour move went up and I was looking to get in even right now, I'd be looking for a 30-minute pullback. I'd be like, oh, I missed that. I'm looking for the 30-minute. But then I would notice, am I going to throw all of my homework, all of my skills out of the window? No, I'm going to go, I need to see the 30-minute move here and get a good confirmation, not see some kind of wonky little trap look and things like that. I need to see volatility not showing me what it's showing me right now to get into that position, right? It's not to say, oh, the 30-minute pulled back and I have a confirmation on the 2 hour I missed, so I have to get into this. You don't have to do anything, right? You have to make sure this is what you have to do. Make decisions that are best for you with as many edge as you can get. Is XPX confirming down on the 2 hour? I would say so. Actually, yeah, it's going to possibly even confirm down right here. Oh, Microsoft. Yeah, we can do I have another 20 minutes or so, and then I got to go help the babies get back for nap time. Microsoft, great one to point out. We had a zone marked off for this. We got a reaction from the zone. We thought a retest of this 429 would come in, and look at that. Now it's coming in. It took a long time, right? I think we made that. We made that during this move right here. We made this zone, and we dragged it across to right now, as you can see. Microsoft, though, what's going on here? Let's look at it backwards. Weekly chart's really down there, right? If the weekly crossed up right now, first question, if the weekly crossed up right now, would that be a higher low? Would that be a higher low? Probably. You know, you go, yeah. Does it look a little riskier? Yeah. So maybe we'll see a weekly upside move soon if I can see some things from the daily chart. Do I see anything from the daily that tells me the weekly is going to turn around? No, I don't. So I've probably got a lot of time to spend in this area, maybe deeper prices if we're going to make a divergence. Maybe I need to wait for some kind of higher low for that to turn around. But it's a volatile thing. Maybe we get some kind of like a bear market rally for Microsoft or something like that, like a pretty volatile rally. How would we see if this daily is going to at least bounce up to that center line? Well, we'd look at the 2-hour chart. So what's the 2-hour chart telling us right now? The 2-hour chart is telling you that this is a roll. This is bad. Even the 30-minute trying to beat that high, it didn't work. Not yet. So the 2-hour needs to give you what? Some kind of divergence point probably, or some kind of higher low to tell you that the daily is highly probable to see some kind of upward move, and probably retest this gap right in here. Probably retest that 460 level. That's been very important. So the 2-hour chart here is most likely going to do what? And yeah, this line, I don't remember when we marked it off, but man, we hit it. We'll act like we're smart for a second, because I have no idea why we marked off this line. It's probably like a support or something. Yeah, it's the breakout from last time. This is where you got to say, if this is going to turn around, I need to see daily divergence, right? So if the daily is even going to turn around for the first pop here, then I need to see a 2-hour higher low. I need to see a 2-hour divergence to have any kind of argument that that's going to really happen. What do we see right now? We're rolling in negative territory. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's a downtrend. That's bad. That's bearish. This is bearish, right? We see it from the RSI. Now, what if we did this, though? Bearish, 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 bullish, right there. Bullish contrarian signal would be the divergence play right here. Does that mean that this stock is going to completely turn around? No. The daily, we went over the daily scale. The daily scale has to do a little bit more work to really say the weekly is going to be in. So this tells you, investing wise, I probably have a little bit more time. If I wanted to invest in Microsoft for say 2 to 4 months, I probably have to wait a bit for that weekly move to happen. But if I wanted to take some kind of contrarian trade here that says that Microsoft is going to be flipping around on the daily and get some kind of daily bounce, maybe to something like 440, 450. I'm not going to make up levels. I'm just going to use weekly expected moves. I give out Microsoft weekly expected moves and monthly moves over on Patreon. We can check on those. But that would suggest, hey, we're getting a contrarian signal. If I do my homework, I can make a plan for a trade there. I can wait for the confirmation and risk money based on how I see fit with my risk, with my position size I would like to risk. And then I can have my plan for if that goes wrong. Microsoft, as far as the weekly expected moves go, you have lower to go. This says you can go down to 384, high probability. So if this 2-hour crosses down, 384 is on the table. Microsoft on the monthly, though, this is important. Right now, you are making a 2-hour divergence, or a 2-hour potentially making a 2-hour reversal signal. When you get outside of monthly moves, I'm just going to tell you right now, the monthly expected move for Microsoft is sitting right about at 401. Bam, right where you're at right here is about your monthly expected move. So if you create a 2-hour divergence here and everyone thinks you're plummeting through the floor and it does this, what are you doing? You're coming back into that move most likely. You're probably going to beat this high. You're probably going to go to next week's weekly expected move if that would happen, or the week after, whenever it would confirm. Now, this is important because does this have to form? Do we know that a divergence has to form here? What did we say about language? Be careful with people who say this has to, right? Even I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I might slip up and say it has to. Be cautious of me even saying has to. Know that the word has to should not belong in technical analysis. It should not belong in stock talk at all. It should not belong in any kind of analysis, really. So the point here is bad things happen. Really bad things happen outside of monthly expected moves. Second standard deviation moves can happen and things like that. So this tells me if this is downtrending and I do not see that divergence confirming, I have no reason to be bullish on it. If I do not see a 2-hour higher low, if I do not see a 2-hour divergence confirming, I have no reason. I have zero to be bullish on this stock or some kind of bounce coming for this stock. I like to talk in my videos a couple days into the future, if you noticed. A lot of the time, I try to talk a couple of days into the future. I do that because I'm prepping myself. And that's how I talk on YouTube, because that's exactly how I talk to myself before a trade comes in. So for Microsoft, if I was looking at this, and me personally, I would be looking at this. I like these type of plays. If I saw a 2-hour divergence confirm here, I could execute a trade. If I do not see it, that means we're rolling deeper. So it might mean a lot like this for people. I'm not in this sentiment right now. I want to be clear about that, but I'm going to talk about this like the market is not in my brain. I'm just looking at Microsoft stock. If I was looking for a time to short Microsoft, technically it would be when this is all crossing down. This would say, okay, look for the short. I'd be doing homework on the 30-minute, right? But overall, that's what it would say. It'd say we're going to test this low, go make a new one. You don't know. That new one could be completely through the floor. But then I would say I like to trade like water, so I would also be aware that a 2-hour divergence could form here below the monthly expected move. So if the divergence pops up like this and confirms, I do not want to hold on to this position by any means. I most likely want to trade like water and completely flip the script for Microsoft. I'm trying to really go through, I haven't done live video in a while, so I'm having fun with it, but I'm really trying to make sure to talk how I used to, really go through my mentality going into trade setups and things like that. My mentality is not, this is good right now. I'll say this. My mentality is this. This could be very good soon. This could be very good soon. If I see that, that could be amazing, because everyone's going to think we're going down here, but I have that monthly expected move in this area towards 401. And if we create a reversal signal, everyone's going to take bearish bets. If the demand is really high for bearish bets, what becomes cheap? The bullish ones. And I can sit there and go, hey, maybe I target a 420. You know what I'm saying? But I could target a 420. Look where that weekly expected move is. If it's up here, and if that confirms, I can take that nice weekly expected move. And no matter what, I can say, hey, great trade, take profit if the profit's good, hold on to runners if I'm feeling a little bit greedy, but make sure to take some green while the green is there. I like that. So this is where we can sit all day. We can sit all day right here for the SPY. Down to that daily expected, you know what I'm saying, Corey Watkins. Yeah, we could sit there. We could see more volatility. The one thing we do know is this: the 30 minutes in trouble now. The 30 minutes in trouble. You have solidified the lower high. So here's the thing right now. If you want this market to be back on the bull, you got to take out this right here. So if this market's going to come back all of a sudden, if we're not going to go down to these levels and see that Vixperation, that before Vixperation pop, you have to do this. You have to cross through that, then pull back. And has to, right? You don't have to pull back. You can squeeze. But it's saying if I'm a risk averse, you can see this, right? Very simple. Very simple. I know it's it's maybe not the best practice in the world, but it's really helped me more times than not. I really like to use kind of the MACD as my kind of like, what's the high, what's the low I should pay attention to. So what's the low you should pay attention to even for the 30-minute here? It's down here. What's the low for the 2-hour you should pay attention to? It's down here. Once you start to lose that, it gets a lot riskier. Does it mean it has to be bad? No, we're going to do our homework. Reddit with a possible $200 gain. What is Reddit? RDT, RDDT, RDTT? I haven't looked at this in forever. Oh my goodness. Dang, we did come back into that zone. That's going to be insignificant now. We weren't revisiting zones for Reddit. Ooh, you most likely will spend some time here. Yeah, this is not good. The last good trade was right here. You see the daily divergence? Bam. Bam. Couple of curves, some managements of trades, but probably a 2-hour divergence right here. Let's go check. Let's go check for fun. Let's see if you got a 2-hour divergence right here to give you it. And this is why I'm very much so talking about that AI thing. You don't revisit levels every time. You do not come down to make that right shoulder, that cup and handle every time. But this is nice. Yeah, there you go. Right across. Bam. Even a short little 30-minute one right here. 30-minute divergence, daily divergence, 2-hour divergence at the same time. You guys who took the course, you know what that is. Golden setup. Gold had too much of a blow off top. It was very likely to come and make the 2-hour divergence at one point. It just sold off way too far. If this rolls enough, this is just going to be pretty simple here. Right? Here's your extension. Bam, bam. We'll take it from the top of there. I don't like to, do this and things like that. I do things very minimally, or not minimally. What am I trying to say? I'm not someone who's so if I have a point here and a point here that I say gold is going to hit, I'm always going to look at this one. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, we have to get to this one or something. I'm going to always look at the nearest one. So even when I measure, I don't measure like this. I measure kind of differently like that to give me a little bit more reason to get out earlier. That doesn't look good. That looks like gold's going to sell off. Dang, and you even carved this out. Poor gold. Daily scale looks good though. We'll see if it can figure its stuff out down in here. This little box. That'd be nice. Baby girl's here. She's already crying. She needs her nap time. I think someone said AVGO. Is someone say, where's your next VIX possible resistance? I think level of 20. I can double check. Oh, nope, we're there already. No, she's really not having a good time. So VIX, as far as resistances and things like that go, I really like to just really put a lot of weight in the weekly and monthly expected moves. So pretty much I'm like, VIX can go up wherever it wants to. But I pay attention to reversal signals and I pay attention to the SPY because this directly relates to the SPY. You want to look at AVGO? We can look at that. So as far as resistance goes, you would be looking probably at 2-hour. You really would have liked resistance to come in, but this tells you a lot. This tells you some people are freaking out or they're doing the Vixperation thing we've been talking about. So we've already done the deed, actually. So all we need is the 2-hour to rotate down. So pretty much no new high. You want that to rotate down before no new high. So no new high. You would like to see volatility remain elevated. Come down. Probably take its time. Do something like this. But I would not want a new high personally. Let me do AVGO and then I'll have to hop off for a moment. AVGO, I looked at the other day because of this right here. 2-hour divergence. Now you have beaten that level, but volatility is starting to pick up. You have seen an extremely positive MACD. So someone was asking if I miss out on a divergence. I don't think it's on the MACD at the same time. It is on the MACD at the same time. So if I missed out on this, nice 30-minute here, I'd be looking for a potential pullback. So what's the like patient good trade here? The patient good trade here is let this rotate down. Let this do this. Let it do this. Fill that gap and turn around. If all of that happens, I have a trade set up. Right? Does it have to happen? I'm going to say that again. Does it have to happen? No. But if it did happen, that would be my that would be my trade setup. I might even write this one down, my notes. Yeah, Za, good trade. Good job. Nice job. Yeah, so the reason for that, you can see you took out critical level here. You can do this. And then you have that gap sitting right there. And you're extremely positive. So as long as that's still positive, as long as you don't see this keep going down, right? There should be no reason for a bullish trade right now till you see that flip back up. If that can flip back up though, then you have a reason to believe what? That daily is probably going to get moving. Oof, daily failed to take out this. So yeah, being very cautious here, making sure to wait for the 2 hour to confirming down to confirm back up would be important. And then you can maybe like reject, turn back up, start to beat these levels, maybe retest. You got to be cautious as you get closer and closer to earnings. I like taking volatility calls, Michael. I like volatility calls more than I like shorting. Volatility can go up even if stocks don't go down. That's actually a very simple that's one of the reasons I like to do that. That's probably a good thing to say. Volatility, people can still make super bearish bets and completely hedge and do things like that, even if stocks go up. So I really like to take, it's a form of shorting in some way. I like to take volatility calls when I think there will be a sell-off. I don't not short. I wait to short until we're in that bear market volatility. A lot of the time, that's when I actually pull the trigger on shorts a lot more often. Yeah, and I'll give you another reason, Michael. This reason right here. I know this is a weekly chart, but which way does the market most of the time go? Right? So if I understand something as simple as most of the time the market will continue to go up, yes, we will see volatility, and I can maybe do plays in here. In here, though, that's my favorite shorting type of market. Bear market rallies into bear market fall-offs, great. So if the stock market's doing this for a long, long time, right, then most of the time stocks go up. So it means what immediately? Bullish trades, there will be more bullish trades. Bullish trades will be easier most of the time. I think we're going to hit a period where short plays are definitely there, but I think you're going to have that bear market type volatility. I don't think it'll be, I'm not like everyone else right now. I don't see this. I don't see it. Got a bag today. Nice job, Marcus. I don't see this. I don't. I just blatantly don't see it. I do not see it at all. I could see like this. I could see more like, was that April, May? Then we kind of come down into these levels. Then we go back up. I don't see what all the crash people are seeing. I could be completely wrong. That's fine. I don't see it. So that's me personally. Everyone that tells you that this is exactly the same, they are just ignoring their narrative. They're talking about their bias. All right, guys, 5 more minutes here. What someone asked about? What's our? Oh shoot. Ooh. Oh, okay. Fun one. These ones, guys, these are going to be much like I'm just talking from a guy who's looked at stuff like this plenty of times. Whenever I see these type of things, I always talk about my dad's buddies. They like to, you know, pool together or whatever, or each of them takes 10K every year and they buy 5 different stocks like this. Now they do a lot of homework on those stocks. They don't just like buy them new, like they don't just buy them willy-nilly. They do a lot of homework on them. My dad actually told me one just a couple of weeks ago that he had me look at for him, but I can't remember the name right now. I think one of them that my dad and his buddies used to look at, and I'm sorry, this is RR. I know you're looking for analysis on the stock. You have taken out these lows. That is a problem. You're going negative. That's a problem. You kind of failed actually, you did a good higher low, but then now you've dumped off completely. You probably have a 2-hour divergence here, though. Ooh, you're kind of losing that too. So it's in a rough spot now. You're actually suggesting more downside as it stands. But a lot of these, that I want to give you something helpful here. And a lot of my dad and his buddies, they do things like this. They look at stocks that are super cheap. They look at stocks like this. They will do a lot of analysis, and then they'll come to me for the technical side sometimes. The last one they did this for was IonQ. IonQ, they were doing this with IonQ, I believe it was around the 14, right in here. They were doing it, right? And I suggested that IonQ had a weekly cross up and was very likely to continue. And then they got the weekly cross up, My dad was like, do I need to sell it? Because he held on to it through here. I go, no, it's very positive. I'd just be careful with it, but I'd hold on to it. You're still above your price you bought it at. And then the weekly curled up again, held, went up again. And I don't know what he's done with this ever since, but this is one that they did that with around $14. So as far as that goes, giving something helpful about RR, that robotics, is kind of talking about that topic and saying sometimes people just put, small amounts towards those and then they turn into big winners. Sometimes they'll put small amounts in 5 different stocks after doing their research and doing their research on the technical side. And then they can make, say, 10K from one, 3K from another, and lose all their money in the other ones, but you don't care because you got a couple of winners. That's what they like to do. It's not exactly my sales. Tomate, thank you so much for joining. All right, we got 3 minutes here. Let me read through the chat for a moment here. SPY just went down $10. Let's get back over there. So sorry I didn't give probably the absolute best analysis there. I'll give you guys second standard deviation since we are breaking through. Weirdly enough, 680, 67. We might hit my 6. Are we going to hit my 680? Remember, we most likely will spend some time down here, but you got to rule, let the market do what it wants to do. We have gotten the 2-hour confirmation, correct, in about 2 minutes. So this tells us we should be looking for 30-minute signals down here now, but 680, double check, 680, 67. Which is like exactly where I want to go to. That's where I tweeted about this morning. And no, I don't tweet very. You can follow me if you want. You're going to get like a very terrible scheduled amount of tweets. You'll get like 2 one day, 0 for a week, 5 one day, 0 for 2 days. I'm not the biggest person on there. Yeah, we're back. I'm going to try to do these, Mr. Watson. So as we sum up or shape up the video here, I can give a summary real quick. I don't see 666 right now. The door to 666 would be open if this were to take place, just a plummet. That's when 666 starts to open up. Right? That's most likely your 666 look. I think that is a probability right now. Rolling here, beating this low is a probability right now. Yeah. So I wouldn't take it off the table. Volatility is suggesting that can be a pretty good probability, but the higher probability here is the 2-hour higher low for the SPY, a 2-hour divergence for the QQQs. Yeah, doesn't mean it can't happen, but as of right now, this is extreme selling outside of a daily move. Starting a position here today could be a little risky. 570 QQQ. For the month, that is low probability. 588.41, the yellow line, is your monthly move based on the options. That is what is suggested as low probability. It would be 560. In order to see 560, you would have to wipe out divergence here and probably see one more roll. You would have to see this, probably wipe out divergence, come down to like 575, react back up into that move, and then roll towards the end of the month, and then fail to get down to 560. And at that point, you're probably not, you could probably stop. You could stop. I just wouldn't take this entire thing out at that point. But I once again, that's not my thesis for the market. Doesn't mean it can't be a problem. It is a probable thing based on how volatility is shaping up. You're welcome, Joey. Yeah, we used to stream every single day. Do you guys, who remembers those times? Say, I was there. Say, I was there in the chat when we used to stream every single day. I know a lot of you guys were. Is it crashing? I think this is a Vixperation scare again. There you go. There you go. We got some peeps in here. We'll call you guys OGs now. You guys are OGs now. One play that I think's fun. I gotta hop off. I can't talk about too many plays, and it's not the best one. It's not an Apple or a JP Morgan. Yeah. I'm glad to see you guys. It is nice to come in and say hi again. And you can tell based on how much I've been talking, I've been itching to talk about stocks. You know, my wife doesn't talk about it that much. Lower cluster bounces 600. Yeah, so the 30-minute here going pretty negative. You're probably going to spend the highest probability here is if CPI does not crash or make a huge bounces, you're just going to sit in this area. I think that if I was a market maker, let's put it this way, I like to talk like this. If I was a market maker and I knew CPI was coming, say, on Friday, but some options expire on Friday, right? Then I would like plummet this, get everyone to make those bearish bets, and then on Friday come out, give some kind of bounce and kind of just sit in this area. So I think that this is telling you we have time to sit down here would be the most probable. We'll see if CPI changes that. Gold's red because it blew off top and then it gave up too much of that gain. So the 2 hour did not shape up well. So once you see that blow off moment and you kind of plummet and you give a big gap like on GLD, I know a lot of people look at futures for that, but you have to be aware that it's like, okay, we can go make a divergence, but it's very likely for the lower high. Get everyone bearish before NVIDIA earnings? Oh yeah, when's NVIDIA earnings? That's a good point. Yeah, and look at that. Look at this. Look at this. Just a week after Vixperation, we're going to get these earnings. What's NVIDIA saying here? What's the highest probable thing according to the chart right now? We're unks. I like that. Curls down. A little bit of risk of, testing the low, making a new one, but more so probably a higher probability based on your MACD that we come down and test those. Just test the buyers. Yeah, we haven't crossed this level, so you got to be aware we could test that low. We could fill the gap. But this is positive. So if you just see this is saying, I don't want to be bullish when it curls down, if it curls down. But if that would cross back up through that center line, this is probably the bigger opportunity. This is how you take back to or test 207. So if you do this, you do that, this is the trade setup, I think. And then that probably is riding to like 207 in my opinion. But I only use weekly expected moves and monthly moves for targets. For the most part. Most of the time, that's what I'm using. The wife let you out of parole. I actually got to get off like right now. So I do appreciate you guys being here. I do appreciate you guys being here. I gotta go take care of her. She's having a hard time, and I'm sure Mama's having trouble with two of them. So I thank you guys for being here today. I hope you guys did find something helpful. That's the point of these streams. The streams are to, yes, have some fun, talk about stocks and stuff like that, but do it in a productive way. So we were correct to point this out so far. We do not know the future, but right now the more probable thing would be creating reversal signals right in this little pocket. If we do make a new low, it will be risky. We'll watch out for divergences from things like the QQQs, but just know that this is not bullish as it stands. You would need that 2 hour to curl back up into positive territory to have that bullish argument. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go help take care of the girls and get them down for their nap. All right. Peace out, guys. Have a good one.